Alright, so in part 2 of our simple shell scripting tutorial, I wanted to write a slightly more advanced program. It's a choice program, and you can almost do anything with this choice program. There's so many options. I'm going to show you how to write a simple kind of educational trivia game, but you could also use the choices to do various commands or start various programs. I'm also going to show you a few extra commands, and with these commands you can do a vast majority of shell scripting with these simple commands. And it's also going to show you the fundamentals of computer programming and computer science, really, these fundamental principles. So what a computer is basically is any device that can accept input, store that input in memory, perform some sort of function on it, or compute that information, and then give you an output. So input into memory, process it, and give you an output. One of the first computers, they say, was an abacus, because you can manipulate the abacus and that stays put, and then you can manipulate it again to do a process, and then it'll give you the output all in one. Modern computer uses transistors to basically do these four things, billions of times a second, or you can store billions of pieces of information in ones and zeros and then process them billions of times a second. And that's all that's ever really going on with a computer are these four fundamental things. And this program is going to demonstrate how you actually go about doing these four things. So for this tutorial I'm using two different programs. Now before I told you you can use Notepad and CMD. That's perfectly fine. They're on every Windows machine. These just make things a little easier, a little nicer. So this is called Notepad++. This is the one I particularly recommend because you get tabbed browsing here. See, I can have multiple notepads open. They give you the line number that helps you debug your program sometimes. And it also will format the language for you, so it makes it a little easier to read. We're going to do ours in batch. So I'll type batch here, and now you notice when I type in echo, it sees it as blue. So it'll kind of make this a lot easier to read. And this is called Console 2. It's just a kind of nicer looking program, but it also has these tabs. So I could run multiple notepads here and then run them in multiple tabs on my console over here. It's not particularly, this console's not particularly important, but Notepad++ really is useful for programming for sure. It has all these other languages too, and it does about 1,000 other things. You can put plugins in there as well. So let's get to the program. So we start everything off with this echo off command, right? So we don't see the actual commands we're typing in. And so this, we're going to do a remark. So you can do this or REM. It doesn't matter, but both of these say to the command line interpreter is ignore this line, so you can actually add notes to your program. So we can put anything we want there, it doesn't matter. Now let's get right to it. We're just going to ask a question for this. We'll say where was Alan Turing born? He's a famous computer scientist. And then we're going to do a series of answers. So we're doing echo each time, because remember, echo outputs whatever we tell it to output. So we'll say choice A, USA. We know that's wrong. B, we'll give the real answer. And just to make it a little more interesting. So there's our first output, but then let's get to our first fundamental thing that we do with computers is input. So this command is probably the most important one to learn, is set. So set lets you basically set a variable. I'll come over here and demonstrate set real quick. If I just type set alone, it'll actually show me all the environmental variables that are already set on the computer that Windows actually uses for various things. But I can set any variable I want, so let's call this NEV, and we'll say equals 12. It doesn't matter. Both of these are arbitrary, but it's basically saying create a memory space in the computer called NEV and put the number 12 in there so we can manipulate it later. So now let's type set again, and there's NEV. It equals 12. So that's all the set command does. Another nice thing about shell scripting is if you forget how something works, you can just come over to the shell and immediately start exploring it. CLS is another nice command to learn. It clears the screen for you. So we're also going to attach the input parameter on there, so that allows us to set a variable, but it asks for user input to set that variable. So that's the first requirement we wanted to meet to create this program, is to accept an input. Say we forgot how to do that set p, we can type help set, and you can actually see here set p is how you get the variable you want, and it even shows you the syntax you should use, set/p, and then you give the variable and then equals whatever you want to say to get your input. So this is going to be an answer, so let's call our variable ans and let's have it equal answer. Now this doesn't actually equal answer, this is just the text it spits out to get what the variable equals. So let's go ahead and save the program and just see how it's looking. So Control S to save. We'll call this just trivia. Remember, we want to make sure we put CMD on there. Let's come over here and run it. Now here's a quick trick. You can just type the first letter and then tab will fill it in for you. That's good to remember. If there were multiple things with T, it would give you the options. So now we'll run it and let's see if it's doing what we expect. So it ignored that remark, as you can see, and then it echoed exactly what we wanted to. Where was Alan Turing born? And it asks for an answer. Now we can put whatever here. We could put the proper answer, and it's not going to do anything because we haven't told it what to do with that answer yet. But basically we fulfilled the first function, and now the second one. We've asked for an input and we've stored it in memory. So we can do whatever we want with that variable now. So let's perform a function. Let's check if that variable equals something, for example the proper answer, and then do something whether that's true or not. So we're going to go to our first conditional statement. A conditional statement is an if statement or a loop statement that basically branches off what the computer could do based on various inputs. So it's pretty simple in DOS. It's just if, and then if what. So if answer, and to call a variable you use the percent sign, so it knows you're talking about a variable. When we first defined it we didn't need the percent sign, but now we do because we're referencing that memory space. So if answer equals, and we do double equals to show that we're making an evaluation and not setting something. So if answer equals what? Well, the user's going to see B, so we want to put B there. If the answer equals B, if that's true, then do something. So the syntax for that is to put it in a parentheses. Let's just simply have it echo correct. And now we can also have it do something else if it's not B. So we can type in else, and we'll say echo incorrect. And that's it. So we have input, and we have our variable. So input, something is inputted, it's stored in memory. The if statement itself evaluates. Basically that's doing a computation or a function. That's what the processor does. And then finally it gives us an output depending on how it was processed and what the original input was. That's all a computer's doing, and this is a nice microcosm of all a computer's really doing. And this is also a very useful program to do many things. Notice again, we could put instead of a trivia game, we could say what command would you like to run? Ping, or what program would you like to run, and we could type start Chrome or whatever. So you can do so many things with an option program like this. Let's see if this program actually works though. So Control S to save, come right over here. You can hit the up arrow to run the last command, so that's pretty straightforward. And so here we go. Where was Alan Turing born? So far it's operating just like before. Let's give the proper answer, and it worked. So we put in B and it said correct. Let's run it again. Let's give an improper answer. Say we thought it was the USA. It'll say incorrect. So it's taking that input, putting it into memory, evaluating it, and based on that evaluation and the original input, it's giving us an output of either correct or incorrect. Let's do one more thing to spice the program up a little bit. So say we wanted to run it again. So this is kind of like a loop. So we're going to ask for input again. So we already know how to do that. Set P. And we'll call this variable, say, REP for repeat. And we'll ask the user, would you like to play again? Yes or no. So it knows what to input. Now what are we going to do with this variable? Well, we're going to say if, put the variable in percentage marks, if rep equals y, we're going to say, not echo, but go to start. Where's start? Well, we're going to go put it up here because we want it above the game. So now it knows to go up there and basically restart the program. Else, we'll say echo thanks for playing and exit/B. Exit/B basically means stop the program and exit to the shell without closing the shell. And we'll just put something here up at the beginning too. Welcome to trivia game. And we'll pause. Pause is a nice command if you ever want to not have the shell quit on you at some point, or there's a lot of reasons you might use it, but it'll ask to press any key to continue. So now let's just test this program one more time. Control S to save. We'll CLS to clear screen. Up arrow to run our game. Welcome to trivia game. Press any key to continue. Where was Alan Turing born? Let's give the correct answer B. Correct. Would you like to play again? Let's say yes. And there, it just starts again. Where was Alan Turing born? Notice we put the start after the original welcome. And that's all there is to it. That's for some really fundamental, simple programming stuff. And I hope you got something out of it. Thanks for watching.